so much. All right, everybody click I got it, and then we are good to go. So thank you everybody for tuning in today. I have a very special guest. As you know, over the last month and the next few months, we're going to be going through a rotation called Meet Our ALC. For those of you who haven't been connected here before, our ALC is comprised by, I think we have 12, I'd have to double check, agents in our office that really represent the agent body, which is a unique model for Keller Williams. And Fred Keller will tell you that he believes that's the most unique thing we have, that no other company does, and that the agents really truly have a say, right? That those meetings happen every month, and essentially the ALC, again, is a representation or representatives of the agent body. So Donna is going to be joining us here for a little Q&A to talk about her business and understand that on a monthly basis and through various groups and committees. You know, Donna does represent in this market center. So if, if ever down the road you want to mention something, if you have a challenge, if you feel like there's an area, space where the market center can do better and you're not comfortable with approaching Leadership Direct on that, the ALC is where it goes, and then it finds its way right to circles there. So first and foremost, Donna, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure, Bill. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. I know you're very busy. I know you got a lot going on. You are in an insane growth phase with your business, which has just been awesome to watch, right? We met at Outback Steakhouse probably like 2.5 years ago. And the changes that you've made in your world from a business ownership perspective and from a real estate perspective, have really, really paid dividends. And again, it's just been exciting for me to watch that play out. I'm going to talk to you guys with Donna, a couple of things, 5 important points that Donna feels was and is really important to her, even year over year, increasing her business 150%, right? So Donna, if you want to open up, is there something you wanted to say there? And then I just want to jump in and we're gonna have a nice exchange.
I know, the first thing is like, I just want to say a little bit about myself. I started, got my license in December 2004. I was with the previous company. And the idea for me, I always loved real estate, always, no matter what it was, investing, rental market, whatever it was, I loved real estate. I think it's unlimited potentials to make money. And at the same time, helping people too. And real estate, everybody is involved in some type of real estate. Either this is rental, owning a house, selling the house. It's like, it's everybody's business. So my goal was always, family for me was always number one. And I remember my previous manager, like, Dana, you have great potential. So I was saying, like, I have small kids. My husband has his own business. Once my kids gonna get bigger, then I can talk more business. And lucky for me, opportunity came at Keller Williams and opened the door to new opportunities. And I took it, and it could not be more happier.
Awesome. Well, we feel the same way. The good thing about owning a brokerage and the unique thing about owning a brokerage is it's a two-way street, right? Like, I know we have to provide, value to you, but agents like you provide through the ALC, through various things, a lot of value back to the market center too. So I'm certainly grateful for that. In breaking down your business, and I love to jump right in to the bits and pieces of the process that make your business special, right? Like your business growing, where did you shine that spotlight? And I know one of the things that you take really seriously, and we've had private conversations about this in the past too, is how you can communicate effectively through a transaction, right? And really make sure that we keep, in the loop. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you focus on that, how you make that a focus, and how that, impacts your business?
I believe this is, we have to understand that we as realtors, we are in a service business. This is a service that we provide to all the clients. all the clients are customers are our clients. So they look out for some kind of guidance, leadership from us. And it's your job to be in the driver's seat and help them throughout the transaction, guide them and provide that service that they are looking for to get from you. So it's everything. It's about the client. This is not about us as realtors. We do have knowledge, but we have to find out what kind of needs they have, so we can properly service them. And that was the goal since the beginning. Since I got my license, because I couldn't find a good realtor. I didn't feel like I was serviced correctly. I had realtors that didn't have knowledge, were not able to answer questions that I had, and it was very disappointing. I was like, how come you don't know? So that was always my problem, and that's why I got licensed. I was like, I'm just gonna do everything myself.
What did you
Houses
do?
with investing, I was like, I'm just gonna have knowledge to everything myself. I'm gonna find houses myself and find everything what I want for myself and for my business. And I just don't understand why different realtors don't provide the service at a very high level, and they don't really ask proper questions what the client wants from you, because we all different. Everybody have different needs, everybody have different expectations, but it's our job to find out what they're looking for in a realtor, how you can serve them the best, and make sure that your advices and your leadership is very genuine. So you really take care of them like someone would take care of you, or someone would take care of your kids. So that was my business philosophy from the beginning. I always it was always about the client for me, always about them. And sometimes I didn't win. Sometimes I was too honest and I didn't get the offer accepted, or I had clients that walk away from me working with me. But I always was feeling good about myself that I did the best that I could for the buyer or seller.
Oh, that's awesome. I think I can break that into into two different responses. So it's interesting what you said is this morning, every week on our team, we have Mindset Monday, right? So I bring up something that I would like the team to focus on for that week, right? To make sure that's part of their everyday experience, part of their thought, mind process. And today was actually the first time I ever did this topic that was listen, right? Take the time to listen. And I said, that's something I'm really guilty of, right? Especially when, you're seasoned to where someone starts to say something and you know what the objection is, you know what the script is, right? And a lot of times we sit there ready to just respond and tell them what we know, when in many cases, the most connecting thing we can ever do, and the really elite sales trainers will tell you, just stay quiet and listen. The more you listen, the more you connect, right? And the more it puts you in a position to serve the real need, because the need you think they have is not always the need they actually have, right? Is that?
No, nobody cares. I have so much knowledge. I tell the boys and Paulina and Christina that I have so much knowledge right now, so much experience that I feel like it's coming out of my ears.
Right.
Everything. I still don't know everything, and it's not really. Nobody's gonna care. Your client that you meet at the townhouse in Hampton Lakes not gonna care about how much knowledge you have. They care about them. If you're not gonna ask them questions, you're not gonna win them. You're not gonna win them, because if you're gonna talk about yourself, how many houses here? You know what? Once I was asked, how many houses you sold in last year? Once. We listed 30, sold 33 listings this year. One seller asked me how many houses I sold this year. One seller, nobody else, because I always start like, how can we help you? Tell me a little bit about your situations. It's always a question. This way you care about the client. And it's so sad, Bill, because I do a little bit of investing. I like to shop, and the service business is terrible around us. It is terrible. I was talking to Arthur this morning, and we were thinking that maybe 20% people that are providing service in America are good people. The rest are terrible, terrible service people, honestly. Even that applies to realtor without a doubt. You know, it's very hard to find a good realtor that really cares. It's hard. And I experienced it myself. I went to buy appliances this morning, and you know, I wanted to do it online. Home Depot page got stuck on me. Lowe's, I picked everything, could not pay because got stuck. I went to another store, and the guy said they don't have anything. Everything is on the back order. Like, oh my God, are you in sales here? Like, do you want to sell me something? It's so disgusting, honestly. So why provide that service that people want, and people always gonna go back to us.
So that's a great point you bring up. And I find it fascinating because I've talked to thousands of realtors, right? And I've yet to meet somebody, and I'm sure they're out there. I might just not have talked to them about it specifically, but I've yet to meet somebody who had such a bad experience in real estate that they said, you know what, I'm just going to go get my license and do it. And I'm going to do it the right way. So thank you for making an example or setting an example for finding, right, a gap and then filling that gap at a high level. But I think you use a word a whole bunch of times here that a lot of people don't use, and it's service, right? And you use that word service over and over. So people look at this as a high income job. They can look at it as a career. We talk about it a lot as owning a business, but really at its core, you are providing a service, right? And if you personally are not, then you better have a team that can deliver an experience that's service oriented, or else you're going to end up on the south end of it and constantly looking for new business, right? Rather than business that comes around. Yeah.
We don't get it that a lot, even realtors, we don't understand that we do provide service to people. We depend on people. The higher level of service we provide, the more successful we're going to be, and the business is just going to grow.
Right. Beautiful.
It depends on people, and the service sucks sometimes.
I know I can always count on you just to say it like it is. So that'll be our quote of the day. The service sucks sometimes, guys.
I was always called brutally honest person. So
that's good. We always need that in our world. So would you, for finding business, would you look at your business as, you know, just kind of like a real broad spectrum? Are you trying to cater to everyone's needs, or do you really focus on finding a niche? Where do you align there, right? And if it is a niche business, you know, how do you suggest that people really find that gap to fill?
I mean, it depends what you. I think it's very important to find where you feel comfortable looking for business, because it's different for everybody. We're all different. I was very successful at the open houses. I called on an ad in the paper when I wanted to get licensed because I didn't know anybody in town. So I started from the open houses, and basically at my sphere. My first year in real estate, I was the rookie for the previous broker, original rookie. All my friends, everybody who I know, they all bought houses the first year when they got licensed. They all bought houses because I was kind of like, how can you waste money renting? Like, well, you're nuts, you know. I was showing them the mortgage amount and getting them qualified, and they all bought houses the first year.
Wow.
So I'm a sphere of influence, and they just a word of mouth, and they were telling other people about, you know, that they knew, and referral is still a huge percentage of my business. I would say probably maybe this year, maybe not as much, because we get a lot of internet leads, but I want to say up to this year was like 60% was my referral business, and that was very easy. Referral business is very easy because people already know you. If someone referred you to the family or friends, you're already like 1 foot in. So keeping in touch with the past clients, keeping in touch with the people that you know, touch them constantly on Facebook, on social media, comment on their posts, send them text messages. So that's huge for me. Keeping in touch with everybody. especially if you had a pleasant transaction. So that's very important.
Yeah, what's interesting and what I'm hearing too, is that it evolves, right?
Yes,
But
it only gets bigger. Yes.
and it changes, right? You said originally it was open houses because you didn't know anybody, right? So you sometimes people plug in and they'll watch an agent who's doing 100 million a year and they're like, oh, I'm going to do exactly that, but they miss some of the yellow brick road that leads to Oz, right?
Not everybody's good at the open houses. Some people are better at cold calling. So it depends where you feel comfortable. I was always very personal, so I talked to people at the open houses. I was doing 3, 4 a month, whatever was available to sit open. I was there because my husband was off on Sunday, so that's the only day I had to work. And then I could follow up the next day, or even the same day. Actually, I was taught to follow up the same day and just show them houses at night. And I always knew the inventory. Like, you gotta know your inventory. How you gonna sell yourself at the open house? Because that person that is coming to the open house, they may not be interested in that house. But how you gonna sell yourself if you don't know inventory in town? What order? So whenever I was going on the other to the open house, I knew what's on the market in that town, every single house, and I tried to preview them before I went for the open house that I was sitting. Let's say if I was sitting open house at 5:50, I would go to every single house that was around the corner in the neighborhood, and I would see what they have inside, so I could talk about that house to them. And many times that's how I got those clients, because I was talking about, like, oh, they said, I am looking for 2 bathrooms. Like, you know what? I have a listing around the corner that has 2 bathrooms. I could show it to you later after the open house or tomorrow. Which one is better? Always give them a choice. Like, you want to do after the open house, or you want to do Wednesday or Thursday? And I would always talk about the second house that I have. And you always book for the next appointment. You don't ever let, oh, I will call you. Is this your phone number? Many times they leave you a wrong phone number. So, you always book the next appointment before you're going to lose them. If they're going to walk out the door, many times you're done if you didn't book the appointment.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I want to unpack some of that. So what we heard from you a couple minutes ago is nobody really, we got one person out of 34 listings, right? Nobody's asked you how many houses have you sold, right? That we hear on the
one person.
Right. Now, a lot of agents, especially newer agents, are really fearful of jumping in the game because that's like the worst thing anybody could ever ask them is how many houses they sold. But you bring up an interesting point. And to me, there's no surprise in that people are not asking you that because you're understanding the market first. From very early on, you said you were doing the extra work in anticipation. And if somebody comes in and you know that neighborhood inside and out, you know the price of everything, you know the inventory, guess what they never even think of is, hey, this person hasn't sold any homes, right? It's when an agent shows up and doesn't really have that depth of knowledge and has not taken the time to prepare, that puts them in a situation where someone's like, hey, how many houses have you sold, right? Because what they're also telling you is, you're not really giving me enough to trust that you've sold a lot of houses.
I mean, we do sell houses. How are you going to sell a house if you don't know what you have to sell? If you don't know your inventory? I mean, I studied the MLS. I'm a morning person. 4 o'clock in the morning, I would get on my MLS and I would study every single town where I was working. I still do. I still know what comes up to the market every single day in the towns that we do business. You gotta know your inventory. You gotta own the office listings. You gotta know what's in the market. Even if you don't have the buyer right now, the buyer could call you tomorrow. How are you gonna talk about what's in Canton Lakes or what's in Wayne on the market if you don't know the inventory?
It's a great point. I mean, any job executed at a high level, especially at one where you can earn high income, you should be doing a bulk of work outside of when you're in what I call surgery. If we compare this to medicine, right? So if we can hire somebody to leverage those pieces down the road, that's great, right? But you still have to have, that knowledge in place. And, I used to work with the coach, Dirk Zeller, who said, in real estate, you are a surgeon and you are either negotiating, showing homes, right? Or on listing presentations when you are in surgery, right? And everything else is prep for that. But it is a surgeon's job to perform surgery, but they've gotten a ton of training before they showed up. Imagine you went to the surgeon, right? And they just walk out doing surgery. Or imagine medicine at the rate it evolves. You walk into a surgeon's office who hasn't looked at anything that's changed with medicine in the last 5 years, right? It's a scary proposition, but people do it in real estate all the time.
When you go on that listing appointment or you meet the buyer, this is like your stage. It's your show of time. You think those basketball players, they don't practice when they go to a game. Those surgeons or doctors, how much work is it behind them before they're gonna go and operate on someone? Like,
Right.
There's a lot of work that goes behind.
A ton, yeah.
A ton of work, a ton of preparation, and ton of learning. This is when you meet that buyer. This is your show of time. It's either sell or you don't. That's you get 5 minutes of your time. When you get a call, I've read somewhere that the client decides within 3 minutes if he wants to meet with you or not. The first 3 minutes on the phone. How you sell yourself within the 3 minutes? You gotta prepare yourself. You gotta know how to talk to him.
So let's bring together the two concepts that we've talked about, right? The one was crystal clear. We're in a service business. The second is to make sure that you have the skills and the tools in line to sell, right? So we're providing service through that selling process. And I know that kind of an overarching theme for you in your business is relationships, right? So how does that all fit together, right? How important is building relationships in your business, especially recently when your business has done this? And maybe what are some things that you've done or focused on to deepen those relationships?
I mean, right now, my business is growing because I was able to leverage the business. I would not be able to do it myself. I just wouldn't. Because when more business is coming, you gotta be able to leverage the business. You cannot do it yourself. It's just impossible to provide service at a high level, and that's what I prime myself for. It's impossible. So I was lucky enough to have amazing people that work with me, and it's a lot of preparation, a lot of consultation, tens of calls per day with everybody. But I think the key is to recognize the best what those people have to offer and what are the best in which task, what they do the best, what they provide the highest level service in what? Is it calling? Is it showing houses? Is it getting that 3-minute show of time to either get the buyer or not, or a seller? So I think it's very important, like for someone that is looking to build a team, it's to leverage and also recognize ability of each person that you're gonna work with. What these people can do the best for you and push that kind of work in their direction. So I think that's what helps me to really grow amazing. And I think right now we just, because there was a lot of practice, a lot of trying different ways to grow, and I feel like we reached that point that we're just gonna go.
It's paying off. It's paying off.
Right now, it's just not gonna be non-stop.
Awesome. You're very hands-on with your team, right? And making sure that you're.
They are afraid of me.
That's good. It's a good hands-on. But you, I know, are very clear in making sure that your philosophy about the business is absorbed by the team members, right? Whether they listen or not, right? That's the name of our business. But again, back to how important is it and how much do you reinforce with the people on your team that building strong relationships is fundamentally part of this business and how we continue to grow and deepen and create referrals.
I mean, you're asking me about the relationship with my team or the relationship that they have with the clients?
Yeah, the relationship with the clients, right? Because I know, especially in the last year or so, a lot of people enter this business. They see dollar signs. They want to go right to the sprint, right? And I do know that from you and our conversations, it's always important for you to kind of not necessarily slow that down, but to make sure that the service and the relationship are there, because that's what ends up, in future business. So I guess my thing is what have you, because your team has grown, right, exponentially, and that doesn't just happen. You don't just plug people and it happens. So I know you've taken the time to instill those things that you feel are important in those team members, and one of those is to build strong relationships with their clients, right? So how, I guess I can say, is how important is it for you to connect that with your team and to make sure they're building relationships out there, not just running the gamut and doing.
And I tell them basically how I did it, because I still have clients that, my God, I met them 20 years ago, and I'm still selling them houses 20 years later. So I keep telling them how I was able to keep those relationships strong for so many years. And that's exactly how I want them to do it. And, it's many times it's not even about only the market. Many times you just call the client. If you see that they post something nice vacation, you call them and talk about the vacation spot, or if they have a new baby or a grandchild was born, you always keep in touch. It's not always about the business, you try to become their partner pretty much. Or if they're looking, let's say someone. We have so many resources. We met so many people in our journey of real estate. Let's say they post that they're looking for an electrician, or they're looking for a handyman, or they're looking for whoever they're looking for. Always give them your recommendations, and always be in their life like a source also. So they always call you for a source. Many times people, like my past clients, they ask me for advice on a refi. They talk to me, even though I'm not going to give them advice, and I always tell them, go talk to your mortgage lender. But people call me for everything. People call me, my past clients, they call me for legal advices. They call me for mortgage advisors. They ask me about the rates. They ask me about the rentals, the tenants law, that's everything. So you want to be their partner. And that's what I keep telling my team, that it's not only about selling them a house. It's also being there when they need something from you that you may have. So I think that's important.
Yeah. And I guess one step further, if we wanted to boil that all down, it's like building a relationship of trust, right, with these people. So they trust you that they're going to get the information and the right information. And I know, something else that you've talked about in the past is making sure that you are committed to always putting their needs above yours, right? Would you say? Yeah.
I lost clients. I lost clients. Arthur would never forget. We met a client one time, and the driveway was very steep. And I said to the buyer, it's like, you don't see that right now. What's the first time home buyer? But in 22 years from now, that driveway might bother you. That buyer bought that house with another agent, the same house.
Really? Wow.
Arthur would never, until I die, I'm going to hear that story. I felt like that was my job to tell him, my job as a realtor is to tell them today what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's the way I always approach the business. If you ask me about how you communicate with the client, my job, because I know more than they do, is to tell them today what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen in a week from now, what's going to happen in 30 days when they're going to be ready to close. That's your job. And that's how you're going to win the relationship. And that's how you're going to win the client, to guide them. One time, I remember I was sitting open house, very early years of my business, and I used the words to the client that walked into the open house. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to help you and teach you how to buy the house. And at the closing, that girl told me that that's how they met so many realtors, and they called me the next day because I told them that I will help them the best I can. And our job is to tell them what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't preach to them, you don't tell them, you just tell them what to expect. And something that I think a lot of people make a mistake, they try to give people answers that we do not know what's going to happen. Because a lot of, even realtors, even I see the younger realtors do that too, they assume what's going to happen. They assume what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. How many times they put that show of multiple offers, final and best, and they have one offer, or they have offers that they have two offers that are $100,000 below asking. You don't assume. You don't assume. You don't give. You don't write pictures for the clients. If you don't know something, give them an honest answer. You don't know if this could happen, this could happen. Like, do whatever you feel is right. Because no matter what you do, just make sure you feel comfortable with your decision as a buyer or as a seller. Make sure you feel comfortable with that decision. If you're going to lose the house, I guess it wasn't for you. You didn't feel comfortable paying more. So it's okay not to have answers. It's okay. Don't make up answers. Don't tell people something that happened to you on a house 2 months ago, because if this is not going to happen on this transaction, you're going to lose them forever.
So let me boil that one.
People make up stories. They make up stories and they assume what's going to happen. Nobody knows. We put a bit for my son yesterday. Perfect example. Wonderful offer, like a dream offer. And I didn't know if we're gonna get the house. I didn't know. You know, you don't assume anything. So it's like, you don't tell them, oh, I put $100,000 higher offer, and you tell the buyers we're gonna get it for sure. You don't know. What if the seller decided not to sell?
Right.
And a lot of realtors make up stories.
Right. Right. So, and what I'm hearing from you is trust your gut, right? Communicate what you feel out of good conscience is what you would want from a guiding perspective, someone to know, but also don't talk too much, right? Right. If we talk too much, a lot of times we can find ourselves in quicksand and hurt ourselves, right? And not hurt us in getting the sale, because that's not the goal, but hurt the client in getting what they actually want, because we have now interjected something that's not in alignment with what their goals were.
No, it's not. This is not about you. You don't make decisions. Whatever it is, you always call the client. And I would always say they want to know everything what's going to happen 2 weeks from now. I said, there's going to be a bump. We're going to have bumps. Once we get to that point, we will get on the same page, we will get on a call, and we will discuss, and I will tell you from my experience how I feel what's going to happen, what's the best way out, how this is usually done, and you decide which way you want to go, because this is about you. It's your money. I always use that language. At the closing, I'm going to give you the key, and it's going to be your headache, not mine. So make sure you're comfortable with this.
Right, right.
Awesome. And you know, I just give everybody an honest opinion, because I own houses, I own investment properties. I just give people honest opinion, and I think people respect that in you. And if you don't know something, call. There's so many experienced agents in this office. Like, everybody's gonna be willing to tell you. There's hundreds of different scenarios. You can ask my son how many. He's been selling houses for 6 years, and he's doing amazing. You have no idea how many times he calls me a day, and he doesn't send a text message without consulting with me, even after 6 years and selling so many houses. So because every scenario is different, so you ask. If you don't have an answer, you ask. I don't know all the answers. You ask for a second opinion. but don't ever make decisions for the clients.
You might have a list of people asking to be adopted after this is done, right? It sounds like you've done-
I'd be more than happy. You know, I'm getting old. I actually love the young agent growth, and I think that the new generation of the young agents are very smart. I
Oh, yeah.
love to watch the real estate. It was so hard 20 years ago. It was so hard. The mentality is completely different right now, Bill. And I think the new age that is coming of realtors, they do an amazing job. And I think that the service level is improving too.
Right. No, I agree. I
Don't
agree.
you think that way? Like the business that how we did real estate 20 years ago, it's a higher quality of service right now.
Yeah, and it's incorporating an experience, right? So we're looking at it as this, even if that experience is simply being taken care of, right? That's something that a lot of agents are being able to provide. So if anybody has any questions for Donna, please put it in the chat box here. I know we're winding down on time quickly. These things fly. I could sit here and talk to you about this stuff all day. But
I love real estate. I just love real estate. I just love it.
Right. I wanted to.
It doesn't feel like work, I honestly, I don't know if I should share that, but I was the oldest in the family. My parents had the job, full-time jobs, and they had the farm. I was raised on the farm, and my previous manager used to say, like, Donna, you work so hard, and I look at him like, this is not work. This is not work. This is fun. I love what I do. This is not even work.
It's awesome, and there's a variety in it that you just don't get in any other business. So,
and if you have unlimited income potentials, it's up to you
right.
how much you wanna make. It's totally up to you. I choose to do what I did because of my family, and my husband was also working full time. I had no other family. I was on my own, and I'm still by myself here. I came here for love. I married my husband at 21, and I didn't know anybody, a single soul here, and limited English, and anything else was bad too. So, if I could do it, I mean, you guys born here, that you went to school and you have families and friends, my God, unlimited potentials. And real estate is just wonderful.
That's awesome.
Apply to you. Yeah, you just have to a little bit apply your techniques. You have a perfect office here, so much help, so much support, so many classes. Like the fact that like 20 years ago, who would share any experienced agent? Who would share anything with you? Nobody.
Right. Yeah, it's the truth. It was a very close started, business, right? You could go on Google now and find a whole bunch of stuff. Never mind personalized.
YouTube videos, I watch them all the time. Like this. Jesus Christ, it was never there.
So let's I just want to get one more question in as we wind down here, and I want to go back to communication a little bit, because I feel like in everything that we've discussed today, it kind of in a way ties back to communication, whether it's relationship building, whether it's the client's needs, and communication throughout the transaction. So can you just give us an insight, like, that's a calling card of your business. What does that look like? So if somebody says, I'm putting in an offer on a house with Donna, Tyszka, and it gets accepted, what does this communication look like throughout that process to closing?
I mean, I will call them and I will tell them, as I said, what's going to happen afterwards, stages. I will explain to them, not that they're going to remember, but I will tell them exactly what's going to happen. But they're not going to remember the steps, but they will remember, because I tell them all the time, listen, guys, I'm going to be with you until you're going to get keys to the house. I'm going to hold your hand. Any questions, anything that comes up to your mind or it's going to bother you, make sure you call me. I repeat that so many times. So at least several people told me at the closing that they didn't remember anything what I said about the houses, but they always remember that I told them that they could call me anytime if something is gonna start shaking in their brain or they have cold feet. Like, I am here to help you, so you feel comfortable. throughout the transaction, and you have a pleasant transaction, as pleasant as it pleasant could be, because you know how it goes. There's so much stress going on, and sometimes you meet a nice people on this other side. Sometimes it's hard to have that meeting of the mind, so everybody is on the same page. It's hard. You have to prepare the client for those bumps ahead of time. So they expect, if you go to the home inspection, you tell them before you go how the inspection is gonna go, what's gonna happen, that the inspector is there to find what's wrong is with the house. So when they get the 30-page report, they're not gonna say, oh my God, we're not buying the house. Your job is to prepare the client. That's communication for me. You have to tell them before. If you told them the day when the offer is accepted, what's going to happen for the next 30 days, they're not going to remember everything. The day before the inspection or the day when they book the inspection, you tell them about the inspection. After the inspection is done, tell them, once you get the report, we're going to go through it together and we're going to find out what's important to you. I will help you. I will guide you. So they always remember that I was telling them that I will help them and I will guide them throughout the transaction. I think that's very important. That's very important. This way people feel comfortable. It's like, oh, whatever happens, I'm just going to call you.
Right. So over communicate, right? Set expectations at each point so that they know what's coming. And communication, from what I hear from you in Donna's world, is a two-way street. It's one, I'm going to explain everything to you to prevent me from having issues down the road, right? But
Right.
two, I'm also going to make sure that you can communicate back to me at any point, right? Which I'm sure takes a ton of tension out of the process. Things don't then build up because they know they can always reach out.
I think that this is very important. I said, listen, I'm going to be with you until you get keys to that house. And it's my job to help you, to make sure you're comfortable throughout the process and you know what's going on. And some people really take it to the extreme. They call me at 12 o'clock at night, so.
Right.
But,
Right.
I still somehow respond. If I'm awake, I still respond.
Right.
But it's for them, it's crucial. For you, it's nothing. And you have no idea. Sometimes they just call to tell you about their pet, honestly.
Right.
They have
Some people, interestingly enough, that when something's inside, they need to get it out, right? And the longer they keep it in, it becomes bigger and bigger in their mind. So making sure that they have that outlet. And I think it is important as businesses continue to grow to make sure that you have some guardrails on it and guidelines as to to when and how people can communicate and select times, right? People are always able to do that. But if someone's reaching out to you every night at that hour, it would start to become a challenge. But still, even with that, setting those expectations and letting them know that they have that outlet is vital, so it doesn't build up. And
very important. Make sure you answer your phone. If you don't answer, you're busy, text them back. I will call you. So as Bill said, nothing is building up in their head, because if you don't answer, they're gonna call the attorney and they're gonna kill the deal for no reason. And I've seen that for no reason, because there was something silly, really something silly,
So you just said something awesome, and I heard this quote last week, which was, I used to say it in a million words, right? This is such a simple way of it, is always acknowledge, even if you can't respond, right?
Yeah.
So
that's important. That's so important. If I cannot talk and my son knows that client, he calls them. So they would hear back from one of us immediately, because those emotions could grow that high that they're going to be out of control, and it's going to be too late for that phone call 2 hours later for some people. It's your job to manage those emotions. It's your job.
And even if neither of you are available in that moment, even that simple, you said it before, sometimes just responding and acknowledging, hey, I got your text, I have a few back-to-backs, I'm going to be in touch when I wrap up. That takes the tension out because someone's there, right? And a lot of times, and by the time you do get back to them, some of that fire is gone. If you didn't respond to them at all, now they start to attribute some of that anxiety and emotion toward you, right, for not responding to them. So have a system.
It's a very silly reason many times.
Right.
Very silly.
have a,
Sometimes they just want to talk.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, you are afraid to answer the calls, like, oh my God, they're gonna kill the deal. No, they calling for, they asking about the neighbor maybe. Like, you know, don't assume stuff that they're gonna ask you for something bad, you know. It could be a very silly stuff. Just communicate and be always there for the client.
love it, love it, love it. Donna, we actually went a couple minutes over. Like I said, time flies.
I can talk forever.
So I wanna first thank you as I open. I want to thank you at the end here for taking the time to share it with us. I want to point out to everyone, and this is the fun that comes along with these ALC discussions, is how different approaches can create similar results of success, right? But at its core, it comes down to a couple of defined things. So Donna really today shared with us five categories, right, that she's really focused on in order to take her business to the next level previously. And that what she and her team are doubling down on to continue that path, right? So one is communication, right? Communicating effectively throughout that transaction, having them set up for what's ahead. Two, find your niche, and your niche can change, right? It evolved from when Donna first entered the business to now, but she's constantly finding that area of business that's comforting that now her business can support. As it grows, her niche grows. Building those strong relationships with the clients. It's not just about the business, right? The fourth part, I would say, and this is kind of along the lines of the last one, but very, very defined in putting your clients' needs above yours and watching that come back and feed the business. And then at the end to say, focus on service, right? We're in a service business. I'm not going to use the good 4-letter word. You can close this out with it. No, I'll use it. She said a lot of people in the service industry right now, they suck. Let's be honest, right? They're not performing at even a decent level, never mind a high one. So focusing on that service puts us in a position to really stand out and perpetuate that relationship moving on. So Donna, I want to thank you again for pouring out into us, for being there as an ALC member representing our office, and we had a really nice turnout today on here for everyone here. I just want to again just say it was with full gratitude that that we are all tuning in and learning how to continue to increase our business like you have yours. So have a blessed day and keep killing it out there.
Thank you, everyone.